G'day guys, it is Ben here from Hunt the Night. Now, what we're going to do today is go through how to set up the quick way, the Ballistic Range Finder in the PARD DS35 units. Now, this is my FX air rifle and I've got the DS35-50 on here. And I have set up the Ballistic Range Finder, but we're going to start again to show you how to do it. And there's certain bits of information the Ballistic Range Finder needs to work out your holdover. Okay, so for those of you that are new to this, the Ballistic Range Finder, what it does is you zero it at say 25 meters for this air rifle, and at 100 meters or 50 meters or 75 meters, it's going to give me another holdover mark on my reticle to say aim here, and it calculates that for you. Very, very handy, you know, especially for subsonic type shooting. So the things that the Ballistic Range Finder need to know is your velocity, okay? Now, if you're shooting an air rifle and you've tuned your air rifle, so my FX Impact here, for instance, is tuned for subsonic loads, you need a chronograph to actually figure out how fast you're shooting, all right? If you don't have a chronograph, someone's tuned it, or you've got a tune for like the FX Impact off the internet, and you've gone through and it's shooting quietly and subsonics, you can start at kind of 925 feet per second. That's kind of the range where you can start, and you can put that in, okay? We're going to go through how to adjust this anyway. The bullet weight, look it up. So I'm using the H&M Barracudas in a 22 caliber, 21.1 grains, and then you need to know your ballistic coefficient. And again, a lot of this information is publicized by the manufacturers. If it's not, Google it. There are various websites for air gunners that have got this information on there, and the ballistic coefficient for my bullet is, or my pellet is 0.031. You need to know your altitude, 4,000 feet, temperature about 68 degrees, and scope height. And scope height we're going to cover in this first part of the video. I will say one thing with this Ballistic Range Finder as well, make sure your parameters are set to feet per second, okay, or what do they call it? Not the metric system. You know, they got a Royale with cheese. I always go back to Pulp Fiction to figure it out, because when they're talking in the back of the car, then like, he went to France or Holland. Did you get a quarter pounder? They wouldn't know what a quarter pounder is because they got the metric system. So we're Imperial. Haha, that's the one we're after. Okay, so and it's just easier because it's easier to measure in feet per second and do all this, although we will do a little bit of maths because I'm going to measure this up in millimeters converted to inches, okay? So the first bit of information, I guess the real bit, you know, of tricky information is getting our center bore to center scope distance, this distance here, okay? Because the rangefinder needs to know that. And I'm going to show you how to do that on the FX air rifle. Going to involve a little bit of maths. Now, I'm just using some digital verniers, and I'm doing this in millimeters, and then I'll convert it over because I find that easy to divide into decimals, okay? First thing we do is measure the outer shroud here of the actual barrel, okay? And I've got about 28 millimeters. So I'm just going to write some of this down while I do it. That's 28 millimeters. And then I want to know the objective lens size of my scope. In this case, the PARD DS35. I'm going to measure this distance here, okay? It's going to give me the outer diameter of the objective, and we'll call that 51 millimeters, okay? Now, for this measurement here, I'm actually going to add the 28 and 51 millimeters together, and then I'm going to divide it by 2. And the reason why I'm doing it like that is because we want to know what the center is of each one. So it gives me 39.5 millimeters. So I want to know where the center is here and where the center is here. So taking that full width divided by 2 gives the center. The last measurement we need to know is this measurement here, okay, which is the top of the barrel there, because we've measured from there to the bottom here. It's a little bit tricky to measure it on here, so I'm just gonna get my calipers in there. As long as I've got a pretty close measurement, which I've got there, which is effectively 22 millimeters, okay? So that is all we need to know from that point of view. So we add the 22 millimeters, the 39.5, we get the 61.5 millimeters, and then we're going to convert that over to inches to actually put it into our ballistic calculator. Now, I'm a big fan of the Google, thing, so I just punched the 61.5 millimeters in, and I'm going to get 2.42 inches, okay? And that's our scope height. And if we were to go back to the rear of the scope here, if I bring this in, and I'm going to change my verniers now over to inches and make it 2.42 inches, because that's effectively what we've got. And I just want to show you that you can kind of guess this, but it's better to do it. 2.42 inches. I'm going to lock that into place. And if I was to put that here, you can see I'm pretty close to where that center line kind of is if I just eyeball that. So 2.42 inches, and that goes into it. Okay, so we're going to go out to the range now, and I'm going to show you how to just to set this up, put the rest of the information into the ballistic calculator, and all right, guys. So we're out in the field, and the little target over there is 19 yards away. A little Insta360 over there on the target, so we'll get the target footage of impact as well. All the stuff I'm going to run you through here is conveniently available at our website. This little FX impact setup. So I've got the Warn Skyline bipod on here with the Sabre Tactical monopod on the back here for the bench rest version, just to get us on target. I will be putting the Longshot Hawk on the back of this scope to record through the scope, and I've just upgraded a little pistol grip there as well. The AR style pistol grip from Sabre Tactical. So FX impact, I'm going to put the chronograph on the front too, so we'll grab a little bit of chrono information as we do this, so we can fill in the ballistic data once we've got it all ready. So first thing I'm going to do is shoot this at 19 meters, make sure it's zeroed at 19 meters, and then we're going to shoot it at 50 meters without the ballistic range finder on to get an idea of what the drop's going to be. And then I'm going to show you how to quickly calibrate it from there. Alrighty. It's a little bit rainy out here, so it's a bit shitty, but that's what it is, eh? 791 feet per second. Didn't record it. Right, that's okay. We'll check out its grouping in a minute. That will settle down to about 835. Sometimes the air's got to stabilise. 834, 844. Okay, what we're going to go and do, you need a ting on the gate behind this target. What we're going to go and do is have a look at this, and then we're going to do our zero and shoot again, make sure we're happy with it, and then we'll go out to 50 metres. Alright, so as you can see, we've shot a little group here at 19 yards. We're just going to zero it, just tidy this up a little bit. We'll take you through that process on the PARD unit, and then we will go again. Okay, so what we're just going to do is go through the menu, the system here to zero it. So I'm going to go back to our 8 times maximum zoom. We're going to hold down the menu button, which is the middle turret, and then we're going to scroll down here to reticle adjustment. Okay, one thing I absolutely love about the PARD is as soon as we start changing these X and Y coordinates, it freezes the image. So I'm just going to put the reticle on exactly where I was aiming, and I'm going to go down to X, and as soon as I change this value, you can see my image is now freezed. Absolutely love that. So I'm just going to move the reticle to there. I'm going to go down to Y, bring it down to there. I might just give my X just a little bit more of a tweak. Take to there, okay? And we'll go down. I'm going to save it. Okay, cool. We'll press the rangefinder button to get me back out of here. You can see it's moved the reticle kind of where it was. I know I got a little bit of a cant here, guys, but
is what it is for today's purposes. Alright, so I'm going to just adjust my monopod here to get myself back on target. It's quite there. Adjust my monopod now again that I've chambered, and let's see what we can do. Bang in the middle. Okay, so that's how easy it is to sight this part in. Okay. I've just moved my monopod a little when I was doing that. I love just now to change this monopod around, up, down, left, right, all that type of stuff. Makes setting it up so much easier. Okay. Alright. Now, we'll go have a look, but I know I'm going to be pretty happy with that. Alright, so we're now bang on at 19 yards. Now what we're going to do is extend this out, and we're going to go out to kind of 45, 50 yards, and we're then going to set up the ballistic range finder, okay? Alright, well that white target wasn't working for me. So we've gone to a black Sharpie, because now we want to be able to see where that hash mark is, which we can now see. So I'm just going to turn the ballistic calculator off, because I'm just going to run through this process again, okay? So we put all the parameters into the ballistic calculator based on the information we've measured and the manufacturer data that we've got. And we're going to shoot now at 50 yards. Now we want to have our, we want to shoot at our target at 50 yards, because we want to figure out where the drop is. So I'm going to line up with our little Sharpie mark, and we're looking pretty good. And then I touch it. Back this way a little bit. Alright, we're looking pretty good, alright? It's in the thereabouts range. Got a much smaller target. Okay. Reload. Same thing. Okay, now we're going to go and check to see where our point of impact is. Alright, ignoring the one to the right, because that was there earlier, you can see we've now dropped about an inch or so below where it is. So I'm going to put a second Sharpie dot here, okay, around here, because we're going to need this for when we set up the ballistic calculator. But the first thing I'm going to do is, using the standard ballistic information, we're going to turn on the ballistic calculator and shoot it and see if the standard information we put in actually gets us on target, okay? Okay, so we've put all the information into the ballistic calculator, and we can see that in our parameters here. And this is the information we recorded from the chronograph, the bullet weight, the ballistic CC coefficient and the scope heights, and we ranged it at 20 yards. So we put all that information in. Now we're going to shoot it. I'm going to turn the ballistic calculator on. Okay, and we're going to set the ballistic calculator up now. When you hit the rangefinder button, it's in continuous mode. You've got to press it another time, and we're going to get our holdover mark here, okay? And we can see our holdover mark is a little bit lower, move to the side, than where our mark is, what we made. So we already know the information isn't quite correct, but we're going to put this holdover mark on our target, okay? I wish they showed the holdover mark in the picture-in-picture, but they don't. I'm going to load and reset my target. Okay. I'm going to fire. All right. And then I'm going to do one more. Okay, and now we're going to check the target to see where the point of impact was. Okay, and as you can see, we're shooting a little bit too high. Don't worry about the left bit, that's me. I wanted to put it just slightly off center so I could show you this, because now we're going to change the ballistic calculator to try and bring that down just slightly so we can get her on target, okay? Okay, so what I'm going to do is just bring us back down, and I'm going to move us slightly off target so we can see this a little bit better, okay? So I want to keep my horizontal in the right spot, and it is going to be a little bit tricky to do this because of the way we're recording, but hey, let's give it a go. So to change this the easy way, we're going to go into our ballistic calculator, and we're going to go to the parameters, and we're going to change the BC, okay? And when we change this, it will make a dramatic change. So it was 0.31, we're going to make it 0.21. When we change this, and we save it, and we go back to our reticle here, right? And we range it. And I just want to range it, and we get it. You can see now it's sitting a fair bit lower than where it was. So we're going to change the BC and actually decrease the value because we want to get the holdover mark for the ballistic calculator onto our second dot, okay? So I've actually got to bring this down just very, very slightly. It'd be great if they showed this in the picture-in-picture, but they can't for all sorts of reasons. Okay, and then we're going to go back into the BC, into our parameters, and we're going to change the BC up to say so it was 0.31, we want to bring it up a little bit, let's call it 0.36, we'll change it in a half increment and see what happens. Okay, get back out, arrange it, get our holdover. Just going to move it to the left a little bit so I can see it. And if I bring this back to where it's meant to be, we're still hang on, let me bring this up so I get this in the right spot. From a height point of view, should have made the dots bigger because they're tiny dots. We're close, but we're still a little bit low. So let's go back into the ballistic calculator, and this is where we start saving ammo. Instead of shooting it the whole time, we just start mucking around with it. So let's change this to 0.4. Okay, save that. Get out, arrange it, get a holdover, and now we're starting to look good. To me, that's kind of starting to sit where I want to see it. So let's try and do a really good shot here. Need a remote trigger for this. Okay. I reckon I actually shot that just a little bit too high. Just gonna bring the monopod over. That looks like it's in a pretty good spot. To the right, but okay. Let's go and have a look to see where our trajectory is. Alright, so we've moved it to here, but it's probably a little bit too low. So instead of at 0.4, we might bring it up to like 0.35 and see how she goes. But we're close. I mean, look, I'm being a little bit fastidious about this because I want to get it to just show you the process. And when you start using subsonic like 308 rounds, the drop is a lot more, is a lot greater over, so it's a little bit easier to see. But well, let's just change this and see if we can get it where we want it. Alright, so we're going to go back into our ballistic calculator, into parameters, and we're going to change this to, yeah, once you've gone past it, you've gone past it. Change this down, say to 0.36, okay? So 0.31 was our default. 0.36 is our adjusted. We'll range it. We'll get our holdover mark, and we'll see if we can get on target here. Okay, now change where my monopod is aiming. Okay, you can see we've got our holdover mark, which is slightly lower than it was before, which is what we want because we want to bring the reticle up a little. I reckon we're about there. This does rely on some very steady hands because I'm not doing this from a bench rest, just a bipod and a monopod. And a camera system that's hard to see. All right, let's go and have a look. Okay, so now we've got our point of impact, and you can see this is the one to the right where I was a bit happy with it. Kind of happy where it is. What I'm going to do is take the shot cam off, and I'm going to shoot at a target with my looking through the sight and with the holdover, and we'll see where that's sitting, and I'll show what that looks like. All right, so what I did here, guys, I took the long shot off. These are a couple I shot with the long shot, and these are without, and geez, I tell you what, you can really see that the holdover mark. So you can see that it works quite well. So now I'm using that holdover mark to shoot out at 50 after sighting it in at 19 yards. So the crux of it is, guys, the easiest way to do this is zero it at short range, say 20 yards, then put it out at 50, shoot it, figure out where your point of impact is, adjust your ballistic calculator to compensate, and then fire it from there once you've got that holdover mark where you want to see, lined up with your point of impact. You've got to test this at other ranges just to make sure it's consistent, but I've done that previously and I'm pretty happy with it, and I expect that to work just fine. Anyway, so big shout out for Nath at Edge of the Outback. He's a guy's trying to get a YouTube channel off the ground or something like that. I don't know. Guys, look, if you don't know him, go have a look at his channel. It's pretty small. He wants to be something famous. He's probably looking for sponsors too. If anyone out there knows a decent, scope manufacturer or something like that, yeah, throw the kid a bone. He's a good guy. Anyway, there it is. All right, guys, don't forget to tag a vegan.